Hello everybody, welcome to day number 11 of 66 days with data, our daily live stream where we dive deep into the wonderful world of data science and doing it with low code / no code tools like KNIME. So data science is the hot topic these days, and we are going to finalize our second section. We're talking about descriptive statistics. So at the beginning of this section, we talked a little bit about all these little nice things like mean and mode and median, standard deviation, and so forth. And yesterday, we applied this in KNIME using the great Data Explorer node. While we talk about analytics, let me point out one thing, please. I have looked at my YouTube analytics and I found out that the majority, basically over 90% of you, are not yet subscribed to this channel. I really beg you, can you please subscribe to this channel and maybe even leave a like to these videos, because that's what makes my effort worth the while and helps me to produce more content like this. With that aside, let's have a look at what today's task is going to be. Let's switch to the screen. Here we are at the page that we have seen. Oh, and yesterday's video will be linked above here. So if you have not seen this, how we use the Data Explorer and how to install a KNIME extension, you will find it up above here. And of course, this page that you see here on the screen is linked in the description below the video. All right, so we are in section 2, descriptive statistics, and we are at day 11. So today's task is to explore the interactive view of the Data Explorer node. What's the average popularity of the songs in the dataset, the highest danceability, how many missing values in the feature key. Investigate the effect on the output data of excluding a column in the interactive view. So that's what we're going to do. We basically use the workflow that you see now on the screen that we have used yesterday. And when they talk about interactive view, what they basically mean is if you right click on the executed, so green traffic light, executed Data Explorer node, right click on it, you see interactive view, Data Explorer view. If it has not yet been executed, this option here, execute and open views, will be open. You can choose this to not do 2 steps, but 2 in 1. But we have executed it in yesterday's video already. So let's click on interactive view. And that is also the view we have seen yesterday. So basically, let's just have a look. What was the task again? We are going to look at the danceability. What's the average popularity of the songs in the dataset? Well, I don't know. Let's find out. Popularity. I guess there is some kind of popularity. You see, the mean, so it is a value that goes from 0 to 100, and the mean is 27.57. So that means on average, the songs are, I would say, in the lower third, so more unpopular than super popular songs, maybe. That's at least how I read that. Also, if you look at the standard deviation, if you remember the previous lessons, basically means how far each value is away from the mean of 27.57, and that's 18.371. So even on average, even if we add that to the 27, we come up to 45, which in return confirms to me to a certain extent that there are more unpopular than popular songs in this in this data set. So that's something interesting to find out. So what else do we have here? What's the highest danceability? Oh yeah, let's have a look. What's the highest danceability? The danceability, the maximum, 0.991. That's in the upper, that's like less than a, what is that? I know the German word for that, a thousandth. I'm not sure if that's an English word or really, but you know what I mean. So the highest danceability, meaning there is a song that's really, it's the perfect dance song, I would dare to say. So also quite interesting. We see some interesting stuff here. So these numbers really start to tell us stuff about our data set. Also, how many missing values in the feature key? So when they talk about feature, they basically mean a column. So how many missing values do we have? Let's just have a look. Key. We don't see it here, but now let me show you the magic of the Data Explorer now that I have found out. You can see here number of missings. So basically we do not have any missing values. We have zeros but no missing values. And in tomorrow's lesson, that's just a short teaser for tomorrow, we're going to learn the differences between zero and missing value. So number of missing values here basically is 0. But what we see, and that's also quite interesting because that tells us a little bit how this data set might be structured. We see 75,000. So what is that? 10, 12, 15% of the overall 580,000 line items in that data set have zeros. So maybe we do not have missing values, but in regards to key, maybe some kind of system that created that data set just created a 0 if it couldn't find anything for that column in its base system. Either it created it or it's the default when nothing is entered or this kind of stuff. So also interesting. I would say the zeros represent here the missing values, but we will dive deeper into that in the future lessons for sure. All right. Investigate the effect on the output of the data excluding a column in the interactive view. So let me show you how to do that. So we go back here. Let's just collapse this one and close. If we look here, if we look at the filtered table, we basically see exactly like the input, right? We have 20 columns, we have 586,672 data line items, rows, and that's exactly the same than here, 586,672 by 20 columns. So what happens if we go in here and say, for example, we want to exclude the explicit and we want to exclude the time signature. And we just go here, say close and apply temporarily. Okay. So let's see how the filtered table will now look like. Now we have 18 columns. There is no longer the explicit and there is no longer the last one, which was time. What was it? Time signature. So we don't have that anymore. So that is basically what happens if you go into an Explorer and exclude some things. Sometimes you might have some columns that you don't want, because what we basically can do, we can use this as a first node to elaborate the data ourselves and then do all kinds of stuff, manipulate, draw charts, analyze it, group them, calculate stuff afterwards, because what goes in here gets processed here to create that interactive view that we just saw, and it gets handed over to this output here in KNIME, and then we can do all kinds of other stuff. So that's quite interesting that we also can do these things. We can filter in the Data Explorer. And that also makes sense because, for example, if we would have, for example, some columns in here where we say they are completely nonsense, they do not provide any value, the numbers are totally out of bound, and we do not care for the numbers that we do see here, we can basically investigate them and maybe find out through that investigation that we don't need them. So we just click exclude, done. We don't need a column filter node or any of the other KNIME goodies here. We do it directly in the interactive view. All right, so that basically concludes today's live stream, live session, if you want to. Thank you for being here. As I asked you before, it would be great if you could hit like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. But if you could subscribe to the channel, I would highly appreciate it. That makes me happy and it helps me to create more of these videos. And there are more than 50 more videos in this series alone, more than 50 live streams each and every single day for these 66 days of data with KNIME alone. So I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow when we will talk about missing values and not the numbers and infinites and all this kind of stuff. So see you tomorrow and happy NIMing!